Hello guys, so my name is Dave LaRanger. This is Retailing, and this is just a intro video. I won't be doing videos for you every week. You'll be looking at narrated PowerPoints, but I just wanted to introduce myself, put a face with a name, even though you have my mugshot on the Blackboard site. So just to introduce myself, I was retailing professional and apparel professional in New York City for about 20 years. I started out my career in the garment center doing a really fun job. I worked for a vintage textile library where designers would come and look for inspiration. And then I opened up my own studio and did that, collected vintage swatches and garments, sold them to designers, you name it. I've pretty much dealt with them here in New York and also in the West Coast as well, especially Seattle and LA area. And then I got into retailing by chance. I had a friend who worked at Saks Fifth Avenue, and they were looking for someone to launch the Loro Piana brand. It's Loropiana. It's a last name, it's an Italian last name, it's hyphenated, Loro Piana. And it's a family that owns probably the most exclusive textile mill in the world. And they also have a ready-to-wear line that's sold at places like Bergdorf Goodman. So I launched that brand for Saks. Then I went to Barney's. I managed Chelsea Passage, which is the home department at Barney's. Then I went to work for a gentleman by the name of Peter Elliott on the Upper East Side. He owned, at that point, about 4 shops, men's and women's and kids. And we sold upper echelon brands. And I was the chief operating officer for him, so I handled all the fun stuff like the landlords and the accountants and things like that. And then Bergdorf Goodman recruited me, and I managed the second and third floors of Bergdorf Goodman's men's store, which is tailored clothing and men's designer. So I was also there during the time when they renovated the entire place, basically. And if you haven't seen, they're currently still renovating the women's store, but if you haven't seen the renovations that have been done at Bergdorf, please go. It's a beautiful store. I was very proud to work there. And then a friend of mine, I had been teaching during the whole time. I taught it in my program at FIT in the graduate school. I taught at LIM for a number of years. And then a friend of mine said, hey, you should go for a PhD in textiles and clothing. And as you can see behind me, that's the wrong side, I am finishing up my PhD at Iowa State University. It's a Research One university in Ames, Iowa, and believe it or not, they have the largest textile and apparel PhD program in the country. We have about 50 odd, not odd, but approximately 50 PhD students that study everything from consumer behavior to textile science, high-tech textiles, to historic clothing, to what I do, which is semiotics and cultural apparel. And I'm currently doing my dissertation and defending it on September 2nd on the Scottish kilt making industry, believe it or not, because I have a friend in Edinburgh that is a kilt maker, and his dad owns a chain of kilt making shops in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Oban, all over the place. So that's a little bit about me. So anyway, I went to Western Connecticut State University for a bachelor's in marketing. I got my master's from FIT in global fashion management, and as I said, I went back and taught supply chain management and retailing. I developed a retailing course for that program and taught in it. And recently I was hired, luckily, I moved down to Philadelphia with my wife, who's a regulatory attorney, and got a job at Philadelphia University, formerly Philadelphia College of Textiles. And I teach in the business school. I teach the core retailing course. I teach quality assurance of textiles and introduction to textiles. And I basically have been in this retail world for a long time. I'm excited to share it with you, and it's a rapidly changing area. So We're going to try and cover as much as we can. I like to cover the basics because it is an intro course, but I'm going to try to inject other things into the course that hopefully will provide you with a greater depth of ideas and current concepts that are going on. I have my computer here on my second screen off to the side, so I'll be referring to that. So what I'd like you to do, if you're not already in the course info link, I'll just spin it around. So there's your links, and I want you to go to that course info link, and you should see something, not that, but syllabus and course calendar. And we'll go through the syllabus at length, but you'll have the syllabus there, which is basically an overview of the course, the book, grading breakdowns, course policies, some rubrics for grading, stuff like that. And then in the next link underneath that, you'll have a course calendar, which goes through, kind of looks like that. It goes through all of the weekly to-dos and what's due on every particular week, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And so if you go to then the link directly beneath course info called coursework, this is still the end of July, so I'm not quite fully up and running yet, but I'm going to show you what I have so far. You should have links for every week, week 1 with the subject, all right? But make sure you're in the right week. So you need to cross-reference your syllabus that you have with this and make sure you're in the right week, all right? And you'll see as we go through the syllabus that it's clearly marked, all right? If you click on one of these links, like let's say week 2, wow, my internet is working. You will have basically a checklist at the beginning. I'll always give you a checklist of what your to-dos are for the week. And then you'll have a narrated PowerPoint, which is the way that I lecture online. Those are usually about an hour and a half. That's like a full class session. Excuse me. You'll also have, so you have a narrated PowerPoint, some videos potentially, or links to videos. Zara's a good, one of my favorites. And then you'll also at the bottom every week have a discussion board. And the discussion board, you'll have to post a minimum 150 word posting on a subject that I give you, usually related to either a website or one of the videos that is included in that week, something connected with the class, all right? And through that discussion board, I'm just trying to get you to synthesize your ideas and maybe get you to kind of think about what you've experienced maybe as a consumer or someone that works in a retailing store, and weave that into what the book has to say, all right? Because look, I spent a decade in retail and a decade in design, but retailing is common sense. You know, I think part of the industry has lost that connection to the common sense aspect, but if you look at all the great masters of retail, all these great retailers like Macy's and Bloomingdale's and Bonwit Teller, which was another now closed retailer. It was all families. Bergdorf Goodman was a family that lived on the top of Bergdorf's. And, you know, they ran it like very personally. So you really need to have a lot of common sense in retailing. And so that's what I'm trying to do with the discussion board, is like really integrate like what your understanding is of the world and your experiences with retailing, and integrate it into what the book has to say. Because the book gets a little theoretical, and I'm not exactly a theoretical person except in my academic life when I'm writing journal articles. So I like to, you know, I like to keep it real world. Anyway, so so I will now go through the syllabus. So again, the syllabus is under the course info tab, which is just on the side here. So if you go to course info, then you'll have a syllabus link, and you can either probably, if you don't have a second computer, want to print it, and it'll look like that. That'll be the syllabus part, and there's a separate part in the next link that's the course calendar, which looks like that. All right, let's go through it briefly, and I'm just going to qualify the entire course by saying, like, you should live by this. All right, before you ask a professor a question, before you reach out to a professor and you have a question, you should always consult this first, because this has like 95% of the answers to any given thing. All right. So let's just look at the cover, course syllabus, right? My name, my email's there, david.laranger@LIM College. Obviously the class is online, there's no set times, but it does run Monday through Sunday. So all of your course assignments will be due on Sunday night at midnight, all right, at 11:59 actually. So just so you know, if you have something due for week 4, it's due on the last day. So like if we looked at the calendar, week 4 runs from September 19th to September 25th. You have a get out and due assignment, which we'll get to, due that week. So that get out and due assignment is due the latest September 25th. That's Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Terry Burstein, who is our department head, obviously I work for a different university, but I've taught for LIM for a number of years. His policy is that for across the board, that no late work will be accepted after the due date. And that's just to be fair. And that includes every issue. So please be aware of these dates and please live by this syllabus, because I'm not allowed to take anything late. So again, Monday through Sunday it runs. The semester runs through December, mid-December. And you'll have a little course description about retailing at the bottom there. All right. You'll have learning objectives on page 2. Whoops, going backwards. Learning objectives on page 2 of what you should get out of the course. Your text information is required. And my tests and the discussion board questions weave this book in a lot. So you're going to need the book. Don't think you're going to get through the course without the book. Because in discussion boards, I will say, please refer to page 225, the competitive matrix in the Levy text, and answer this question on the discussion board. And I'll know, I mean, I've read the book a zillion times. I'll know if you don't have the book, trust me. And then there's some other suggested readings at the bottom there. New York Times is okay. WWD used to be a lot better. It's kind of like a I don't know, Teen Beat magazine now or something. I have no clue what it is. It's more like Vogue than it is a newspaper. But it's good for specific things if you're looking for issues, like that specific designer to look at. Wall Street Journal is fabulous. Wall Street Journal is really, really good, and they've gotten a lot better in terms of their coverage of the fashion industry. As a matter of fact, a lot of the articles that I pull are from Wall Street Journal. So to me, that's a really great reference. Business of Fashion is great. The National Retail Federation, the NRF website is great. So there's a lot of resources here if you want to look further into some topic that we're covering. Page 3 is the grading breakdown. So how will you be graded? It's a weighted average, and if you refer in the Blackboard shell, I don't have your names in here yet, but this is what your grade center will look like in the Blackboard shell. And it'll tell you, if you see a column here in the grade center, it's called running grade. That will calculate your grade as we go through the semester, so you know exactly where you stand throughout the semester. And then each one of your assignments has a little column here that the grade will be populated in for you. Here's the thing that students run into. I was told that a lot of you are freshmen or transfers. So with running grade, you'll have another column. You may be able to see it, you may not be able to see it, called a total column, that will add up all of the points. So like if each one of your assignments, you could get 100 on it, it'll add up to, I don't know, something like 1,100 1,200 points total, right? Don't go by that, because the way that we grade is by weighting certain assignments more than others, so it throws off the amount that the points are worth at the end of the semester. So always look at your running grade, because that's a calculated weighted column, so that is accurate. The total column is not accurate. It just tells you the total number of points that you could get. So let's just take a look at the grading criteria there. You'll not only have, you know, your what constitutes A, B, C, D, whatever, but you'll also have assignments up top here. And so you'll have 2 tests during the semester. Each one of those is worth 10 points, so it adds up to 20 points total. You'll have your 6 get out and do written assignments. The get out and do written assignments will be in the course shell in the week that they're due. So if the get out and do is due in week 4, you can click into week 4's folder, and you'll see the get out and do there. All right. But the caveat to that is that you need to know in advance, right? If you want to work on these assignments in advance, there's actually in weeks 8 and 9, you actually have get out and do's due back to back, 1 per week. So you might want to get out in front of that and start working on them beforehand. You can do that. I'm leaving all the weeks open, so you can work on stuff in advance if you want. So those get out and do assignments, again, the assignment will be in the week that it's due, as per the calendar, which we'll look at in a second. There's 6 of those, and they're worth 5% apiece, adding up to 30% total. You have a group case study and a narrated PowerPoint that's going to be due, and I assign groups and companies. I also assign companies for the get out and do, so don't worry about that. I'll have that coming to you. That's 1 assignment at 20 points. You'll have a final exam after the semester is at the end of the semester. That's 20 points. And that would be a cumulative final. And then you will have, I'll just say, it's a cumulative final, but heavy on the end part, because you already took tests on the previous chapters, so I might throw like a few questions on the previous chapters and then make it much heavier on the final, just to let you know. And then your discussion board posts and showing up to class, all right? That's 10% of the grade. So it says class professionalism and participation through discussion boards every week, right? The discussion board is also in the week. So when you click into your week, we'll go through one in a second, you'll see the discussion board assignment there. You click into it, you write, you post it, all right? You can look at other people's posts and comment on those. I'll go in and comment on your posts here and there. So that's 10%. The other thing you have to realize about the course being freshmen and transfers is that this little doohickey does a lot, all right? Blackboard generates all kinds of metrics, all kinds of numbers, statistics on your activity within Blackboard. We have access to all those reports, not only me, but our course coordinator and also Terry Burstein, who is our department head. So we're looking, and it sounds creepy, but we're watching, because we have to, it's our job to ensure your success, that you're not only spending enough time going into stuff, that you're clicking into stuff, so I can see what you click into and what you don't. I can see how much time you spend, so if you don't look at the whole video, I can tell that you didn't look at the whole video. And it also has a really interesting feature, which I like, called Safe Assign, which is a plagiarism tool, and it actually scans your paper and looks for copying from pretty much every possible place, including the internet and previous students' assignments. So it stores every previous student's assignment that's submitted at LIM and other places, whoever's cooperating, and then cross-checks yours against theirs. So don't plagiarize, because that'd be an automatic fail and potentially an academic integrity problem that could get you dismissed from the college. So don't plagiarize, and we have tools that assist us with that. So, and as a researcher, And as someone who publishes journal articles, I'm very offended if people steal my work. So I'm very serious about it. I come from a Research One university. I come from the first land grant university in the US. And we're very serious about research and science, and we're very serious about people stealing our work. So please don't do that, because that's a very bad thing. Okay, and so you'll see at the bottom of the page there, departmental policies. You know, they're very general with, you know, the next few pages actually. The only thing I would call your attention to on page 4 is the coursework policy, that you have to submit assignments, written assignments, like your get out and do's, in Word doc format, .doc or .x, no TXT, and no pasting your paper into the comments. That drives me nuts. Because I can't go in and make track changes and comment on your paper, which is the whole point of it. If I get a TXT file that I can't open, if I get a paper that's posted into the comments section, 0. All right. And PDFs don't allow us to make comments, so no PDFs. Just doc or doc or docx. Say that 5 times fast. And again, in late work and makeups on page 4, no late work, period, including technology. All right. At the bottom of page 4, it'll note discussion boards. Again, the discussion boards are due on the Sunday, as all assignments are due on the Sunday of a particular week. So whatever the last day listed on the course calendar is for a particular week is a Sunday, and that's when your discussion board is due and any assignments are due. All right. Let's see. You have a lot of resource information in the rest of the pages through page 9. Pages 10 and 11 are rubrics that we grade your presentations and papers according to, so you can read what we look at in terms of quality. Oops, just dropped my other glasses. So, you know, take a look at that. You know, in terms of the discussion boards as well, I've had students give really non-substantive answers, which means that was a lot of fluff. Sorry, Fluffy, I have a cat named Fluffy, so. Saying I agree, oh, I agree with you, they do a great job. Now, instead of that, say, if you are going to say, oh, I agree with you, but, you know, the book says that so-and-so retailer does this, or the video said that they achieved a competitive position because of this. Again, I'm a researcher. I look at facts. I don't look at opinions. So I want to know, if you do give opinion, back it up with a fact, right? Like in my journal articles, I can write a sentence like, consumers enjoy an environment with pleasant lighting, right? But I still have to cite a source for it and say, you know, so-and-so researcher did a study on this and proved through statistics that this was true, right? The other point about that is Wikipedia is not a qualified source, all right? Anybody can get into Wikipedia and modify it. A lot of the stuff is okay if you want to know a quick answer to something as a, you know, as a bar game, right? But Wikipedia is not a qualified source, in my opinion, anyway. So you need to get your facts from newspaper articles, qualified websites, Forbes, Wall Street Journal, WWD, Business of Fashion, stuff like that, right? Don't just say, I think that Calvin Klein does a great job. Well, how? That's the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how do they do a great job, and where have you read in the press that they do a great job, and how do they do that, right? Through their assortments, through their financial planning, through their location management, how, right? So always back up your opinions, That is because I look at what I do as not just feeding you content. I look at part of what I do as building your soft skills. And what I mean by soft skills is I was a boss for a long time. I was a boss, let's see, I spent 20 years in the business, and I was a boss for about 18 years of those 20 years, right? I owned my own business, and I managed $50 million businesses with, I don't know, 30 employees, plus employees, 70 in the men's store at Bergdorf. So I know what employers are looking for. I know what I was looking for in interviews and in employees. Is that I know what employers look for, and part of that is being able to back up your statements with facts to your boss, because your boss will want actual facts in terms of your net sales or sell-throughs on merchandise. Our business is based on facts; it's based on financials. So, you know, definitely learn to back up your statements with facts. And now that I'm off my soapbox, I will talk about the course calendar. This really is what you need to succeed in the course in terms of keeping your schedule together, all right? So we'll just go through really quick. You'll have, obviously, a day. We always run Monday through Sunday, right? What week it is, and that will correspond to the Blackboard shell. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, right? And if you go into any of those folders, the content for that week will be there, right? Very bright. And those are the dates. So this would be the Monday of the week to the Sunday of the week. That's when all the assignments are due. This is what we're going to cover in terms of topics and the chapters in the book that we're going to cover. And then you'll have what's due on that particular day. You'll see in week 4, you have to get out and do number 1 due. And then you'll have work for the next week. So you'll see that you're supposed to have this assignment pretty much due for the beginning of the week. So if it says, like in week 3, read chapter 3, you should have chapter 3 read by the beginning, by the 12th there, right, of week 3. So as this column is, you know, what's due on the Sunday, due today is what's due on the Sunday of that week. Really, the chapter should be read at the Monday, the beginning of that week, right? If that makes any sense. And then you'll see we go pretty organically through the book. You cover chapter 1, 2, 3, and then we skip 4 because there's a separate class on consumer behavior at LIM. Then in week 4 we go to chapter 5. We cover 6, 7 and 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17 and 18. So it's pretty much every book except every chapter except chapter 4. You'll also see that, again, you're going to have those get out and do's. So week 4 is the first get out and do. Week 6 is the second one. Week 8 is the third one. Week 9 is the fourth one. Week 12 is the fifth one. And week 13 is the sixth one. All right. And then in terms of the other deliverables, you'll see you have the written group assignment and presentation that's due at the end of week 14. And then you'll have your final exam the week of week 16, which is the 12th through the 16th of December. All right? The other thing I wanted to point out about the course calendar is for some of the chapters, you're only reading certain parts of the chapter. So if you look at the first page and you look at chapter 6, right, it's only certain parts of chapter 6 that you are going to read. So be careful when you read the course calendar. If it says read chapter 3, just read chapter 3. But if there's pages specified in a chapter like 6, you're only going to read part of it, okay? And you'll thank us for that because some of those parts are just really boring. Anyway, so that's basically the course calendar. Again, you're going to want to, in every week, look at the course calendar, look at the dates, and then, sorry, pile of papers, go to your course shell, right, and go to your particular folder and make sure you're in the right week. So if we click on week 1, let's say, you're going to have, it's a little bit, it's kind of packed, just because your discussion board post is very short, you're just introducing yourself. Most weeks you'll have a couple videos, maybe an article, a discussion board, and the PowerPoint. A couple of the weeks you have 2 PowerPoints, so it's a little bit longer, but most of the weeks it's about what I said before, right? So there's a little welcome message there, right? And just talking about how the course shell works and late assignments and just it being an online class, so you have to be self-disciplined. Now, what I didn't say before is my degree at Iowa State is distance. So I'm doing my PhD via distance online. I go to Iowa in the summers and take classes there physically, but in the fall and spring I'm online. So I'm very, 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 very familiar with online classes. And I have to say, the best thing for you to do is to get out ahead of the assignments and do assignments, like try to get stuff done slowly over time instead of wait until the week it's due and trying to blow it out. That helps me a lot. Just chip away at it. It's a lot less overwhelming. And the other thing is, just always be in the course shell and always know what's going on. Read the discussion board posts by your colleagues. Know what's going on in the course shell. I always send emails out as well. So this course shell will relate directly to emails that you will get from me, and you'll probably hate me for the number of emails that I send because I like to communicate via it. So check your emails regularly because there's a lot of information there. So besides the welcome here, which is the unique and in that week, you're going to have a checklist of stuff to do, so you know exactly what you need to complete, right? So all this needs to be done by the end of week 1, that if you look at the syllabus ends on September 4th, all right? So you're comparing the syllabus to this. You'll have the narrated PowerPoint here, so you just launch it, and if you go into slideshow, view slideshow, it should just go through automatically, narrated with a voiceover by me, and it should advance by itself. If it doesn't, you can always, they'll have a little speaker icon, and you can click on the speaker icon and it'll launch each voiceover for each slide individually. And then you'll see in each week some links, right? So there's a video here. These little globes are usually like video links. So if you click on this, it'll launch a video on how retailing is important to the U.S. economy. It's like 3 minutes long, all right? This is a National Retail Federation site. I just pulled a few videos and web pages. So if you click on this folder, I can't do it backwards. If you click on this folder, it'll open up 3 links, right? If you click on these links, it'll bring you to a web page that you can read some text, and there will also be like really short, like 1-minute videos in there. These tell you about retailing in specific states that are around us, which I thought was kind of fun. And then this is really cool. This is a retailing report that I get. It's called Black's Retailing Consultancy. They're in San Francisco, and they send out, you can subscribe to their actual retail reports, like a little 1-page snapshot of what's going on in retail. So I loaded 2 of those in here, so you could see, what's been going on. So if you click those, that'll be a PDF of the Black's Retail Report. I find them really interesting, and it tells you like economic things that are going on that are affecting the apparel industry and retailing. This is a link to the National Retailing Federation's website. I'd like you to just click it and go into it and poke around, see what resources are in there. It's a really cool site, and there's really interesting things about retailing. And then you'll also have, sorry, I'm going back and forth, discussion board. So if you click on this discussion board link, and this will be the same every week, you're going to have window. Now, if others have posted, you'll see others' postings in here. You'll just hit create thread, all right? And there may be another option to create a post if the thread's already created. And then you can just type in here your response. If you want to work in Word and like copy it from Word into here, if you want to spell check it or whatever, you can do that as well. And then you'll also be able to see my comments as well. Now the other way that this is when we're in the actual folder for the week. The other way that you can see this is if you go to this link, discussion boards on the side. If you click on that link, it'll bring you into the discussion. You'll be able to see all the discussion boards that we have, how many people have posted, and if you click on these, you'll go into the discussion board as well. So that's another way to get into it. All right, it'll tell you how many people posted, like how active it is. If you're like me, you'll wait for a few people to post to see if there's anything interesting. I like to do that. I don't like to be the first one to jump in the water, but some people like to. The other main thing about this is again the grade center. So you'll see on the bottom, the last purple link is my grades. You can click in there, and again, when you look at the grade center, I have a different link to it because I actually put your grades in. You'll have this window. Again, remember what I said about running grade is what you want to look at. It'll give you like, oh, you have a 90 or whatever. That'll be up to that point. All right, don't look at the total points. It is not weighted. And then you'll see scores for each assignment. And you can scroll. So if you don't see all of them, there's a scroll bar down the bottom. You can click it and drag it along, and you'll be able to see different assignments that you had. All right. If you have any other questions, you can feel free to email me. I'll be, again, sending an email out every week reminding you to go into the course. You'll go to the checklist. You'll go down the checklist and make sure that you're doing everything you should do. Submitting assignments on time. A lot of the times if it's like Sunday night and I don't see something from you, I will email you directly and say, hey, where's that assignment? I need it. But I might not have time to do that, or I might not see it. So don't rely on me to email you. But if I do email you, please respond to me in 24 hours. I expect that. I'll respond to you in 24 hours if you respond to me in 24 hours. So, and that's another soft skill that we like to teach about industry. So I don't know if my cat will, this will be a good ending to the video, but this is my cat, Kimmy. So hey, say hi to everybody, Kimmy. And anyway, I'm looking forward to a good class, and if you have any questions, please do email me.